Hello, it's a lovely good evening. Welcome to Camnet Television News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo to present. Our top stories in the news tonight: police in KABWE pounce on pirate taxi operators. UPND youths who were incarcerated alongside President Hakainde Hichilema in LUANSHYA demand for support. Government launches the No Bribes But Fines campaign against road traffic corruption. In international news, Nigeria fears overpopulation as world growth hits 8 billion. And it's supposed to use CHIPOLOPOLO jet in Jerusalem as CHAMA PHIRI out of Israel friendly.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
We have the news in detail. Media Owners Association of Zambia, MOAZ, has strongly condemned the arrest of movie TV journalist Innocent PHIRI and his camera person Obvious Kapunda by the Zambia police on Monday evening. MOAZ President Evans Banda says his association feels the action is pure intimidation of journalists in the country. Mr. Banda further says he is shocked that journalists are being harassed and the right to information is being suppressed under the current administration. He says inasmuch as the two journalists admitted to the charge after the unlawful detention, MOAZ believes the Zambia police abused the law and the rights of the two journalists. Mr. Banda further says his association will not allow the Zambia police to intimidate journalists when the New Dawn government has clearly stated that it will not allow the harassment of journalists. The association has since called on the Zambia Police Service as well as the current administration to actualize their campaign promise of non-intimidation of journalists. Traffic police officers have impounded over 15 pirated taxis in KABWE town of Central Province for non-registration and compliance with traffic regulations. Aggrieved pirate taxi drivers stormed the civic center to seek solace from the mayor, Patrick Chishala, who guided them to follow the law, considering the increased cases of aggravated robbery involving pirated taxis in the district. The aggrieved pirate taxi drivers later marched to the provincial administration, where they sought an audience with the district commissioner Lennox Shimwambwa, who reminded them of the importance of following the law. More in this report.
Pirate taxi drivers in KABWE, whose vehicles were this morning impounded by traffic police officers for non-registration, stormed the civic center to seek for intervention from Mayor Patrick Chishala. However, the mayor guided the aggrieved pirated taxi drivers to follow the law, adding that the law enforcers are merely enforcing the law, looking at the increased cases of aggravated robbery in the district involving pirated taxis.
I think what we've demanded is that we need registered taxis to operate in town, following, I think, the criminal instances which we've recorded in town. You will remember that I think about 2, 3, 4 taxis were involved in the criminalities that were taking place in town. And one of the taxi drivers, the one who was operating at ShopRite here in town, actually, as I'm speaking, he is saving because he was used in that kind of criminality where I think some money was snatched from somebody who was taking the money from some filling station to actually Stanbic Bank. Now, they also requested for more time, which we gave them enough time. And the others started branding their vehicles with the ribbons, as it were. And alas, after I think some time again, they've decided to remove the ribbons and started operating like unregistered vehicles.
The aggrieved pirate taxi drivers later marched to the provincial administration, where they were addressed by the district commissioner, Lennox Shimwambwa.
The president doesn't want cadarism. Let's just agree. Cadarism, the president doesn't want it. The president wants order. We have to have sanity. Apapa BP Central, Paliba FNB. Not so long ago, money was stolen from there. Over 200,000. You have a vehicle parked opposite the bank. Tinted vehicle, take the number plates. Now parking tinted, facing a bank. What kind of order is that? Or where will we be as government? We'll be irresponsible.
More than 15 pirate taxis have been impounded for non-compliance. Petronella Msangulure, Camnet TV News in KABWE.
The KABWE Chamber of Commerce and Industry has accused the local authority, the KABWE Municipal Council, of being incompetent. Speaking during the engagement meeting with the local authority, KABWE Chamber of Commerce President Andrew Sinyangwe says vendors are disturbing the flow of business for shop owners at the watch of the local authority, who are even collecting levies from the vendors. And in response, KABWE Municipal Council Town Clerk Jovox Ngoma assured the chamber that the municipality will soon move all the vendors trading in undesignated places into the markets. Here's a report.
The KABWE Chamber of Commerce and Industry have asked the local authority, KABWE Municipal Council, to get rid of vendors trading in front of the shops. Shop owners says the trend has adversely affected their business.
Where is the council? The council is not there. The council is not giving us direction. We cannot even park at our own buildings, let alone when people are going shopping. They cannot park. They have to go and park somewhere a bit far away and start walking.
Addressing the town clerk, Jovox Ngoma, KABWE Chamber of Commerce President of the Chamber, Andrew Sinyangwe, lamented how the local authority has neglected the shop owners and business community in the Central Business District.
We are being taken for a ride because it seems that the vendors are now more respected than us.
Provided your politics are not toxic in KABWE. But otherwise, vendors, for me, they are the simplest people to deal with.
We have always stated as a business community, find adequate and suitable land to give them a befitting structure where they can trade from, where they can have toilets, they can have all other facilities, even a clinic, because most of the people there during the day, some of them, they fall sick.
Town clerk Jovox Ngoma says with time, the municipality will get rid of vendors trading in undesignated places.
It could actually be sooner, only that when you are dealing with such issues, you don't review everything. So you put a cap on certain information and then, but you will see some action.
Petronella Msangulure, Camnet TV News in KABWE.
7 United Party for National Development UPND youths who claim they were incarcerated together with President Hakainde Hichilema in 2016 and served a 4-year jail sentence have urged President Hakainde Hichilema not to U-turn on his promise to support them. The youths have told Camnet News that they were arrested along with then opposition UPND President Hakainde Hichilema and his vice Jeffrey Walamamba for what the police termed as disorderly conduct. They have, however, lamented that they are still living in abject poverty, despite the promises of better days ahead for those who suffered to see the UPND party form government. The youths also claim that other avenues, such as applying for constituency development funds, CDF, have been unsuccessful. More in this report.
More youths belonging to the ruling United Party for National Development, UPND, have continued to come forward, claiming that those who fought for the party in its 23 years of being in opposition have continued to languish in poverty, as though they are still in opposition, over 1 year after the party's victory in August 2021. Shortly after, some youths of Kanyama compound aired the same grievances. A group of 7 youths who say they were among those who underwent wrongful arrest for supporting the UPND have come forward, stating that they are seeing no benefit of having supported the party, as their lives have not changed. The youths explained that they were in incarceration in LUANSHYA from 2016 to 2020 after they were wrongfully arrested along with President of the then opposition UPND and then Vice Party President Geoffrey Walyamwamba, GBM.
Batureda watabantu twachulana bena uko KABWE bamyuna mwana kambwe bali babika na permanent secretary twaya ku LUANSHYA ba Camnet Karunga bali babika na permanent secretary eba tusale no kutsera kwa ati imwe ma freedom fighter manifest upotwa wini na ishipani cha mupao tureda baturechola fie mwe balipo but today baturefunde asake ya unga kwa tulio kubwali
kuwa vyo wafuirisha kana ushanga mapita umundu mwakutumwa wapitile mwatapata sisi vinunga vya wawini na yote vile ne ora ya bako bwini. That's what I should pachalo kufuma 2016 waishire kwa 2020 16 June so aba vyasha bare chindika kokuma koti bonse bali fuira mu mulando wa Chikongo vya fine twali pitala majere na bena nokutura bayitura yenga nafuma mwe bana bandi kwamebukishana nomba turarorera tabatu ibukishap.
They have hence called on President Hakainde Hichilema to ensure that their welfare is looked into, stating that they have failed to succeed in initiatives such as Constituency Development Fund, CDF.
So we have tried in all the avenues to be assisted. It is an issue that is well known even from the provincial minister, Copper Belt, Honorable Elisha Matambo. And also the leadership in LUANSHYA district, they are aware about this issue. So we are appealing to the president that he can assist in any way possible. He has a mandate. He's looking at so many millions of people in this country. But we feel we are the children of the UPND, and we are crying to our father, who is Mr. Kahinde.
Bali pati mwebana bantu mukosefe na naisa fe mupao fionse fe mulefwa kesa miafangesa miti tunafa tu alikosele kufuma 2016 up to 2020 ombe ntungulushi sishashara mushosi chaka tutwa kuli banani ba DC twakwiba provincial minister bonse bantu batu tabali tunyantirira bonse bala bantu so tatwa kwatapo opwili yonsa 2022 kuli fika wa map. So that's why twaishiromba kunani kuchalo chishilo chumfu for today for bana babo.
While the UPND has stated that it has phased out the culture of handouts, the youth have challenged the party to come up with a solution of helping those whom they say fought for the party. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia Center for Inter-Party Dialogue, ZCID, has implored law enforcement agencies to exercise their duties using the human rights-based approach in the arrest and following up of political leaders alleged to have committed offenses. ZCID Executive Director Doreni Njovu KABWE says some of the tendencies being observed under the current administration are similar to what the organization condemned during the previous regime. Mrs. KABWE says the dignity of every Zambian should be at the center of the operations of the law enforcement agencies. She has since called upon political parties to exercise issue-based politics that focus on improving the welfare of the Zambian people and has urged members to differ politically but not emotionally.
Some of the tendencies we have observed are similar to what we actually condemned in the previous regime. The dignity of every Zambian should be at the center of the operations of law enforcement agencies. Would like to take this opportunity to call upon political parties to exercise issue-based politics that focus on improving the welfare of the Zambian people. Politics, like we have always stated, is not a do-or-die commitment, but it's a platform for stakeholders to discuss issues bearing in mind the poor, vulnerable and oppressed Zambians that need solutions to their problems. As a center, we urge our members to differ politically, not emotionally. Politics can be exercised by opposing views and not necessarily each other. They don't have to oppose each other, but let it be issues.
Acting Republican Progressive Party President and member of the United Party for National Development Alliance, Cassius Akapelwa, has urged opposition political party members not to abuse their freedom of speech. In an interview, Mr. Akapelwa says it is disheartening to witness how opposition members have become fond of insulting the office of the president without any caution or respect. He adds that it is high time that opposition political members stop acting like victims once they find themselves in conflict with the law due to uttering of derogatory remarks against the head of state. Mr. Akapelwa explains that leadership is not about how much insults one can issue, but how one manages to govern while maintaining an upright approach to delicate issues.
In the reason that you are influenced to even slander, like our colleague from the opposition, you cannot pass on insulting language to the head of state like that, even wherever there it is, even as much as it's freedom of speech. No, let us shy away from this kind of politics. I think the young people in this country, they want alternatives, political leaders that can come in and offer checks and balances and full of objectivity, and offer solutions to the government. That's the kind of politics that we want to see or rather experience in this country. But that is which is full of slander and malice, no ways. And the Zambian people are able to analyze. I think we've matured in a manner that the Zambian people are able to analyze that which makes sense and that which does not make sense. So whoever started it has to finish. When you pass insultive language, in fact the opposition now, the Patriot Front, are the ones that passed this law. So anything that is created to incriminate others, remember that life sometimes can be cut short. What they are experiencing today is the same law that they created themselves. They should not cry the loudest. The Zambian people shall judge whoever that is wrong and that who is right.
A children's rights monitoring team in Lusaka's Kamanga and Garden compound have challenged their civic leaders to pay more attention to addressing challenges that mostly affect children. Speaking at the Zambia Civic Education Interface meeting between children and local level policymakers held in Lusaka Tuesday, Rebecca PHIRI says most schools and health facilities in their communities are not child-friendly due to lack of essentials that specifically meet the demand of the children. Meanwhile, Child Rights Education Project Officer Ompi Shamboko says our organization has been working not only to make children's rights widely known to both children and adults, but also to strengthen accountability and build consensus on children's rights at family, school, community, district and national levels. More in this report.
Before I begin, I want to tell you a quote that I live by day. It says, education is the passport to the future. For tomorrow belongs for those who prepare for it today.
Children in Lusaka's Garden and Kamanga compound who are part of the community monitoring teams that monitor children's rights in these communities Tuesday convened with their local policymakers and public officials to highlight some of the findings from the community monitoring of children's rights initiative which they have been undertaking. Among some of the major challenges observed is that many health facilities as well as schools do not favor the well-being of children as well as lack of essential commodities such as water.
As children from Garden community, we recommend that more hospitals should be built in our community. Drugs should be supplied at the health post because not everyone is able to buy them. The health post should be upgraded to a clinic or hospital.
We, the children of Kamanga, recommend that More recreative centers are built in our community to keep us busy so that drug abuse by children reduces. We recommend that Kamanga Primary School should be upgraded to a secondary school and more classrooms should be built at the school. Kamanga Primary School should be provided with more desks so that children can longer sit on the floor and enjoy their right to education.
UNCRC Article 28 provides for children to have compulsory primary education and for children to have secondary education accessible for children. This is not the case in our community. We do not have secondary schools in our community, and this has contributed to many children staying at home.
Meanwhile, some community representatives took advantage of the opportunity to make several recommendations to the leaders on what they want to see being done to help many children in these communities to better their lives.
The other challenge that we noticed is the low levels of teachers. And this we say teacher pupil ratio, which we saw is highly pathetic. We saw, a teacher manning 100 pupils in a classroom. And this does not go well when we are talking about children's rights.
The health post, we recommend the Ministry of Health and our area councillor, Adrian Banda, that they should consider to upgrade the health post which we have in Garden to a level 1 post, to a level 1 hospital, as the facility has enough space.
And Child's Right Education Project Officer Ompia Shamboko says our organization, through the Child's Right Education Project, is implementing a 5-year project from 2019 to 2024 in 6 communities, whose overall objective is that children's rights violations are significantly reduced in the targeted communities by the year 2024. And the civic leaders who were present at the meeting have pledged to take the recommendations into effect and ensure that they act on them.
So these children not only monitor children's rights at specific intervals, but it has become part of their lives. So they monitor their rights in their communities on a daily basis. So we're here to listen to the children, and it is our hope that whatever will be brought out from this meeting, the conditions of living for these children in their respective communities is going to improve. Because
Prudence Chota reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Anti-Corruption Commission, SCC, has observed how traffic corruption has continued to compromise the safety of motorists and other road users. SCC Director General Gilbert PHIRI has disclosed that the Commission often receives several complaints against the conduct of erring police officers soliciting for bribes. Speaking during the launch of No Bribes But Fines campaign against traffic corruption, Mr. PHIRI says the Commission is unapologetic in its quest to get rid of the country's corruption. Speaking at the same event, Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Ambrosia Lufuma, has directed the Zambia Police Service to closely work with the Road Transport and Safety Agency and other stakeholders like the Anti-Corruption Commission to ensure that all motorists strictly comply with traffic regulations. More in this report.
As long as there's no respect for the rule of the laws of the road will be an unsafe place. All road users need to be aware of the dangers of corruption and not to endorse corruption through their conduct. In order to eliminate corruption among traffic officers and bring sanity on the road, the Anti-Corruption Commission has launched the No Bribes But Fines campaign. The Commission has observed that there is an increase in the unfit vehicles and unlicensed drivers on the road due to corruption, a situation which poses a danger to innocent road users. ACC Director General Gilbert PHIRI says the Commission is unapologetic in the quest to rid the country of corruption, further sending a warning to anyone involved in such illegal acts, especially to officers, and they might face prosecution because the civil service has no place for corrupt elements.
There's need for user-friendly channels
which make it easy and simple for motorists to pay fines. As long as the process for payment of these fines appears mysterious and not user-friendly, it will remain problematic to fight this stage of corruption. We all need to find simple solutions to this problem. Ladies and gentlemen, the Commission has from time to time received complaints against traffic police officers involving extortion of bribes from motorists at roadblocks.
Corruption among motorists and traffic officers is not a mere perception, but it is empirical proven. The findings of the 2019 Zambia Payers Index shows that the police under the traffic section are still ranked among the top, with the likelihood of taking bribes at 40.7%.
It's not surprising that the traffic section of the Zambia Police Service is widely perceived by members of the public to be at the center of this undesirable situation. TASID is therefore very excited to note that the police service is part of this very important campaign that we are launching today. And we believe that the fact that the High Command is represented here today shows the importance that the police service attaches to changing the negative perception that exists among members of the public.
And Acting Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security, Ambrose Lufuma, has directed the Zambia Police Service to closely work with the Road Transport and Safety Agency and other stakeholders like the SCC to ensure that all motorists strictly comply with traffic regulations.
Ridding this country of corruption in all its forms, regardless of who is responsible for it. Ladies and gentlemen, the dangers of corruption on our roads are well known. We have lost lives which would have been preserved had it not been for that erring motorist. That erring motorist who offered a bribe to an officer to be allowed to proceed even when their motor vehicle was not roadworthy. We have lost lives which we would have preserved had it not been for that traffic officer who received a bribe to overlook a traffic bridge.
Corruption not only is to be found in the actions of the official who ask or receive the bribes or benefit, but also on the part of who offers the bribe. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
We'll take a break. We'll be back with more news after the break.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
Cabbages, onions, maize, potatoes, tomatoes, chilies. At Rainbow, we supply great quality irrigation for the mentioned crops and more at an affordable price. Get our 2,000 meter flat drip for as low as 2,900 kwacha, or our 500 meter round hose for 1,300 kwacha. Customize your own spacing with our 500 meter blank round hose going for 1,200 kwacha, ideal for orchards such as avocado, mango, banana, oranges, etc. Rain-glow irrigation, best quality, best price.
Welcome back. We'll continue with our news. 33-year-old Zambia Army officer Nigel Mwaba has told the Lusaka High Court that it was not his intention to harm his lover, the late renowned Dr. Tasila Tembo. Opening his defense Tuesday morning in a case in which he is accused of murdering his lover in 2020, Mwaba told the court that he left Dr. Tembo laying lifeless on the evening of October 2020 and that death brought trauma to him. Meanwhile, the court has set 28th of February 2023 as Judgment Day. More in this report.
As the court sat to hear testimony of how renowned late Dr. Tasila Tembo disappeared and the Finch was found dead, emotions filled the courtroom. The man accused of killing her, 33-year-old Lieutenant Nigel Mwaba, took the witness dock to narrate before the Lusaka High Court the events that transpired before the latter met her fate. Opening his defense Tuesday morning, Mwaba told court that he met the late Dr. Tembo in 2017, during the time the former Republican President Edgar Lungu declared a partial state of emergency when there was an outbreak of cholera. He was deployed to take charge of and command Kanyama and Mutendere, and her being a public health specialist, she was deployed in a similar role but as a civilian. Fast forward to October 2020, the period he is alleged to have committed the alleged crime. Mwaba said they differed quite a number of times with the late over finances and also over the fact that he had come to realize that there would have been a third party in their relationship. According to the accused, on the fateful day they got into another dispute, and it was at this point that in a stammering voice she mentioned to him that she thought she was hurt. However, he continued to drive while questioning her why she did that to him. However, did not get any response from her. He then realized that she was normal after checking her pulse. The accused has also told the court in his further defense that it was not his intention to harm his lover, renowned Dr. Tasila Tembo. In this case, Mwaba is charged with murder contrary to Section 200 of the Penal Code, Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. It is alleged that he killed Dr. Tembo after she decided to end their relationship. The offense that he is charged with attracts a minimum sentence of life imprisonment. If found guilty by the court, Mwaba will have to spend the rest of his life behind bars. But if the court finds that the prosecution did not prove the case against him beyond reasonable doubt, he will be set at liberty. For now, wait for the court's verdict. Matter stands adjourned to the 28th of February 2023. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Africa Disability Alliance ADA Goodwill Ambassador Thomas Mtonga has urged the current administration to come up with a policy that will facilitate for a quota representation of persons with disabilities in Parliament. Speaking to Camnet News, Mr. Mtonga, who stood as Member of Parliament for Chasefo constituency of Eastern Province under the Patriotic Front in the August 2021 general elections, says persons with disabilities have been finding it difficult to get adopted for a political position. He notes that while Zambia is signatory to international protocols that call for the upholding of rights for persons with disabilities, domesticating these laws has been a challenge as they lack adequate representation at parliamentary level. More in this report.
Statistics from the Zambia Statistics Agency ZAMSTATS indicate that Zambia has about 2.5 million persons with varying types of disabilities in the country, each with its own challenges, ranging from educational, social, and economic. Persons with disabilities do not have equal access to education, employment, political opportunities, and overall equal access to infrastructure as well as transportation in comparison to persons without disabilities. In addition to these challenges, this group of people has continued to lag behind in terms of representation in Parliament, lacking a first-person point of view voice, having to depend on able-bodied people to speak on their behalf. Africa Disability Alliance ADA Goodwill Ambassador Thomas Mutonga, who was also a parliamentary candidate for Chasefu constituency under the Patriotic Front in 2021, has called for a deliberate policy that will see this group of people getting quota representation in parliament.
And that's why we are thinking that it's important, because nothing for us without us. That slogan, it speaks volumes. It's not possible for you to really understand what, as a person with vision impairments, what I go through in terms of even, for instance, COVID, in terms of employment, in terms of family. It's difficult. You can learn about me, but you may not perfect your learning unless you give me an opportunity to speak for myself and to represent myself.
The disability rights advocate has further challenged the Ministry of Health to release statistics showing how many persons with disabilities have been vaccinated against the coronavirus, stating that this will help in tailoring messages to target audiences.
I know that maybe the infection issues may be quite difficult now, because we needed to start that maybe in 2020. But the issue of vaccination, we need to know the statistics for persons with disabilities. That will help us, determine the next course, of action. Apparently, I think in all the data reports that maybe the Ministry of Health has been presenting, I've not come across any time where they've talked about persons with disabilities being covered. So we honestly need that.
He has further called for more funding for this group of people, noting that only about 20% of the budget allocated to the Zambia Agency for Persons with Disabilities, ZAPID, is ever released annually. Zipporah Mshala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Minister of Technology and Science Felix Mutati says Zambia should take advantage of existing ties with other countries to enhance its technology, noting that the country cannot develop if working as an island. Speaking when he officially opened a 3-day program dubbed Empowering the Startup Hackathon program Tuesday, Mr. Mutati notes that there is need for Zambia to continue learning from other countries as technology is continually evolving. The program is aimed at creating new connections and strengthening the old ones between the startup ecosystem support organizations with partners such as Bongo Hive, among others.
But we also felt that one of the hindrances that we needed to resolve was what we call a startup bill, so that it addresses some of the problems and challenges in terms of accessing capital for startups. And we have found that capital, among us, if they're your to-do list, it becomes one of the key issues. But we have also realized that beyond capital, you needed to address other challenges, other barriers. So starting from January 1 next year, we are actually deleting all the taxes and duties for the gadgets that you use to make it affordable for you, the startups, to move ahead. We think when we do that, then we're creating capacity. Number 3, from our side, we felt that it is important that we don't work in a silo. We work at a regional basis, so that working with the region, we cultivate initially a regional policy where we can have exchanges.
You're watching Camnet Television and not just another channel. We'll take our second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
You know I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana. Banga kubunkire ni dad.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
For immediate coverage of any breaking or latest news in Zambia and around the world on Camnet television, call the numbers on your screen. Camnet television, bringing to your screens fair news, impartial news, credible and reliable news all the time. Get the whole truth on Camnet World News. Camnet Television, not just another channel.
Welcome back. And now in international news, in Nigeria, over the next 3 decades, the West African nation's population is expected to soar even more, from 216 million people this year to 375 million. The United Nations says, making Nigeria to be the 4th most populous country in the world after only India, China, and the United States. Tuesday marks the UN projection for when the world's population is expected to hit 8 billion people, though officials are careful to note it's not a precise milestone. Nigeria is among the 8 countries that the UN says will account for more than half the world's population growth between now and 2050, along with Congo, Ethiopia, and Tanzania, among others. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
Tuesday marks the UN projection for when the world's population is expected to hit 8 billion people, though officials are careful to note it's not a precise milestone. Nigeria is among the 8 countries that the UN says will account for more than half the world's population growth between now and 2050.
The growing population of Nigeria, one, is as a result of we don't check our growth rates when it comes to population. And another thing is that if you look at the north, they are free to marry as many as 4 wives, and each wife can have as many children as they want, like you know. Within this other side, the south side, we know that yes, somehow, because of the economy, because of the hardship of the economy, people tend not to have children too many.
More than 15 million people in Lagos, Nigeria's commercial nerve center, are already competing for everything from electricity to light their homes to sports on public buses, often for 2-hour commutes each way in the sprawling mega city. If nothing is done, things may likely get even worse.
The growing population in the country is a cause for concern when it has to do with Nigeria as a country. But for other countries, it might not be a cause for concern because they have a very good structured government and the population is well taken care of. But in Nigeria, the reverse is the case.
Over the next 3 decades, Nigeria's population is expected to soar even more, from 216 million people this year to 375 million, the United Nations says, making the West African nation the 4th most populous country in the world.
The British government announced on Monday the early withdrawal of its military contingent currently deployed in Mali as part of the UN mission to the country. Behind the decision is the ruling junta's use of the Russian paramilitary group Wagner. According to the Ministry of Defense, the commitment was supposed to last for 3 years, but faced with the rising instability in the country, London decided to anticipate the withdrawal of its troops, who should leave Mali in the next 6 months. France, the main country intervening militarily in Mali, notably through the Barkhane Force, alongside its European partners, announced in February their withdrawal from the country. The last French soldiers left Mali this summer, after nearly a decade. Almost 300 British soldiers have been in Mali since the end of 2020. As part of the deployment of the UN peacekeeping mission in the country, MINUSMA, launched in 2013 and aimed in particular at stabilizing the security situation in a country plagued by jihadist attacks.
Music is on the menu at Poptall School, a state-run girls' school in North London. Lessons like these could soon be cut as schools are forced to make savings. The surging cost of materials, energy and wages mean 54% of schools won't be able to balance their budgets without stripping back. Head teacher Evelyn Ford says she'll have to find an extra $120,000 to pay for the government's unfunded wage increases, even though her school is on a fixed energy deal, so is better off than most.
Things like drama, music, art, DT, those will be the ones that school and college leaders will have to think quite carefully as to whether or not they can continue to offer those. And that cannot be okay. If we're saying that our young people are the future and actually they should have this breadth of experience and this broad and balanced curriculum, if you haven't got the staff and then you can't afford to run them, our young people are really going to miss out.
How many different types of triangle we learned?
Students are still struggling to regain ground lost during COVID and are acutely aware that they're being shortchanged.
Some of our generation aren't going to be able to teach maths, English, science because our teachers are so stressed currently, they're underpaid, so we're not getting the full education that we should be getting.
In the staff room, food is on offer for teachers who might be struggling to make ends meet. Teaching assistants play a vital role supporting the most vulnerable children, but often would be paid better if they worked in supermarkets.
We enjoy the job that we do, but we have to be realistic. We're not all just individuals, we're people with families as well. We do have expenditure, we do have bills that we need to pay. Our wages aren't covering that anymore.
Which is here.
The government has increased school funding by $4.7 billion this year. Schools say that's been swallowed up by rising energy costs, the 5% salary increases and the COVID catch-up programmes. Despite promises to bring spending back to 2010 levels, accounting for inflation, that target will be missed.
By 2024, the amount the government spends per pupil is expected to be less than what it was in 2010. Schools are only just emerging from a decade of austerity in which they were forced to make cutbacks, but the cuts that are to come could threaten the very welfare and long-term prospects of children across the country. Charlie Angela, Al Jazeera, North London.
It's now time for sports news. Now, sports news tonight, the Zambia national team has arrived in Jerusalem ahead of this Thursday's international friendly with the Blue and Whites of Israel set for Petach Tikva Stadium. And the Tanzanian-based duo of Cletus CHAMA and Moses PHIRI will miss Thursday's friendly after their club Simba SC refused to release them. The locally assembled side were joined by TP Mazembe defender Tandi Mwape and the Sekukene United star of Roderick KABWE and Tostan Sabata. Foreign-based players are also expected in the state of Israel later on Tuesday. Meanwhile, Simba has held on to CHAMA and PHIRI on account that the Tanzanian league is active. CHAMA is meantime suspended for 3 matches and will still be ineligible to play for his club even if he is not released for national duty. The CHIPOLOPOLO will be using the November 17 friendly to prepare for 2023 Ivory Coast Africa Cup of Nations qualifier matches that are due in March next year. To end Camnet Television News, top stories once again. Police in KABWE pounce on pirate taxi operators. UPND youths who were incarcerated alongside President Hakainde Hichilema in LUANSHYA demand for support. Government launches the No Bribes But Fines campaign against road traffic corruption. In international news, Nigeria fears overpopulation growth as world hits 8 billion. In sports news, CHIPOLOPOLO jet in Jerusalem as CHAMA, PHIRI, out of Israel friendly. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from Isaiah 41 verse 10. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will hold on to you with my righteous right hand. Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television News. I'm Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.